And right now we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Katie Greifeld taking you through to that closing bell. It's a global simulcast. Carol Massar joins us from the radio studio. Emily Graffeo in today for Tim Stanovic. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television and radio, our partnership with YouTube here on a Monday afternoon where we continue to see stocks push higher, led by what else? A lot of those big chip names, Carol.
Yeah, right. The semiconductor index, the stocks, once again, plowing ahead. It's going to be an interesting week. We've got SK Hynix bringing its U.S. issue and U.S. listing. That's supposed to happen on Friday. You've got Samsung, which is certainly a player in the semiconductor space, and that's reporting earnings later today, overnight in Asia. So we'll see what that says about, Emily, kind of the semi-continued demand and build-out.
Yeah, it was a speculative risk-on day in the markets, and you can see in what's lagging, the Russell 2000 on the screen right now, only up 0.5%, lagging behind those more risk-on names like the S&P and the NASDAQ.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see, the trajectory of this week, how some of these trades develop. Of course, we're watching SK Hynix, that U.S. listing, also keeping an eye out for preliminary earnings coming from Samsung. We know that memory chips have been sort of the story in this market, and those Samsung earnings, I believe, coming on Thursday, Romaine.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about this idea of these big chip makers in Korea really kind of being pushed by the South Korean government to expand their manufacturing capacity. Ostensibly, that apparently is what SK Hynix is going to use some of this money for. But of course, a lot of folks then say, OK, well, if you start to expand the capacity at some point, then that means that this super cycle might actually come to an end. No end in sight, at least for today, though, with the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index up about 2 percentage points on the day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up about 0.3% on the day, above 53,000. That is a record high. The S&P 500 just short of its record high, up about 5 points or 0.7%. The NASDAQ Composite and the NASDAQ 100 each adding about 1% on the day, and the Russell 2000 higher by about 0.5 percentage point.
All right, back to the S&P 500 I go, looking at those big caps. And guys, not quite an even split, but close. 221 names, Katie, actually gaining in the S&P 500 today. 280 to the downside, 2 unchanged.
And certainly it was much more dramatic to the downside a little bit earlier in the session. So evening out as the day went on. Let's talk about the circle, what we saw at the sector level. Big tech was your big winner on the day. You can see that that is the Russell 2000, but we will get the IMAP up. Information technology higher by about 1.3%. We know it was a big day for Broadcom, for Apple. Communication services higher by 1.7%. That's the good news. In terms of what didn't perform on this Monday, the dawn of a new week, healthcare down more than 1% as a sector. Consumer staples and utilities also getting hit today.
All right, guys, let's go to some of the individual gainers, if I may. And I'm going to go back to something that Romaine mentioned earlier. Semiconductors, once again, leading the way. The SOX, Philadelphia Stock Exchange Semiconductor Index, at its highs intraday, up almost 5%, finishing the day, though, with a gain of about 2.2%. And then you've got a couple of things going on. First of all, in terms of the semi area, memory chip maker SK Hynix, Katie mentioned it, I mentioned it, getting ready for that U.S. listing, kicking off the formal marketing process for that listing. ADR is expected to trade this Friday. It would be just a massive listing, but once again, a reminder of kind of the demand that we are seeing in the memory space. So you've got that going on. You also have Broadcom jumping today. AVGO is the ticker there. And that name was a top gainer. It was up about 3.7% in today's session. That after expanding its partnership with Apple. You also have, as Katie mentioned, Samsung Electronics, those results coming out also this week. So that is something that we're watching for the semi space. And then I just want to go to AMD. That too was a gainer in today's session. And that one was up about, at its highs, up more than 10%, finishing with a gain of about 6.6%. Goldman raising the firm's price target on AMD to $640 a share from $450, keeping a buy rating on AMD. Stock is up 164% year to date, and we saw this certainly being a top gainer. And then I just want to go to what everybody's seeing right now up on the board, and that is Tesla. Some outperformance, top in the Mag 7 today, up 6.7%. Last Thursday, we heard their vehicle sales beating Wall Street's modest expectations by a wide margin, gaining in a slower growing global market for plug-in cars, yet Tesla's been under some pressure, no doubt, but it's seen a run in the past week, up about 11%. So we've seen a little bit of a bounce back. And the Mag 7, I just want to mention, because 6 of the 7 names, led by Tesla, up, Emily, about 1.9% today.
All right, there's the gainers. Let's go to the decliners. O'Reilly Automotive is my first, down about 7% today. This is after declines to end last week. This is, of course, after last week's report that the firm has expressed interest in acquiring Genuine Parts auto parts segment, but the shareholders perhaps not too happy about that potential M&A news. I'm also watching shares of AMC down 9% to finish the day, or down about 8% to finish the day. This is part of a broader movie theater stock sell-off today. Analysts are chalking it up to a weak opening for Minions and Monsters. Analysts saying that there's franchise fatigue for the Despicable Me series after its 7th film debuted just 2 years after its 6th. I gotta say, maybe this is a sign that Hollywood needs to come up with new concepts, new movies, and not just continue with the same story. So anyway, we saw shares of AMC down about 8%. And then finally, JB Hunt falling after Morgan Stanley cut to sell after the stock's rally. The stock up over 40% year to date, falling about 3% today. Morgan Stanley said that the stock's valuation is unjustifiable after a rally, and that the carriers will benefit from an upturn in the freight transportation sector with later and smaller gains than the markets expect. So again, they had an equal weight rating on the stock, and now they cut the freight company to underweight.
All right, quick check on yields. A relatively subdued day when it comes to treasuries. You did see a bit of buying in the space on the day. That pushed yields a little bit lower. The short end down about 3 basis points. As you can see, the long end of the curve, not as much buying here, but don't read too much into that volume, I should say, in the treasury trading today, relatively light.
All right, everybody. I bet if you go out for drinks with your friends and you say, did you do a prenup when you got married, you might find an increasing number of people saying, yes, I did it.
What kind of friends do you have?
Fun ones.
Rich
Where
friends.
were you last week, by the way?
Where was I? I only took one day off.
That was a
It was
Thursday.
too much for Romaine.
But you missed
It
me.
was.
Yeah.
Kind of. Were you on your yacht?
I might have been.
No.
But
She
it
was discussing prenups over martinis.
That's exactly. So what's interesting is you don't have to be rich to do it. I mean, people are increasingly, first of all, they're getting married a little bit older, but they're kind of protecting an array of things, including inheritances, student debt. I mean, it's kind of branching out.
Right. It's not just net worth anymore, and
Nope.
can I protect my net worth? In our latest Bloomberg article on prenups, apparently others are focusing on prohibiting disparaging social media posts. So in that prenup, you say, hey, if we have to cut this off, you can't post anything bad about me on social media. And then also determining...
Hide those pictures, honey? Is that what that's about?
I guess so. Okay. Determining what happens to frozen embryos after a divorce. That's also on the prenup table now. So kind of more modern take on a prenup than what
You know what I had in my prenup?
What'd you have?
That she could only say great things about me.
There you go. It was,
And she signed it?
it was
She did, with
written.
enthusiasm.
Have her call us, okay?
Yeah, that in my record collection.
When I heard that we were talking about prenups in the chat today, I thought this was going to be another Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift conversation. Would love to look at that prenup, but I don't think we're going to get our eyes on that.
Let's shake it off. All right, what do you guys got for us?
No, I mean, look, where everyone's focused in on the big match later tonight between Belgium and the U.S., which has, I guess, taken on a little bit more significance given all of the controversy, of course, about the red card being made and then the suspension around it being, I guess, pulled. And so now, of course, the star player for the U.S. will be, we're told, on the pitch. And FIFA saying, all of this, hand-wringing over whether they should have done it or not, pish-posh.
Yeah.
And apparently your president, Carol Massar, intervened in all this.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, surprise, politics getting into sports or the president intervening.
Yeah.
Listen, if you think about how much FIFA has been at the White House or the Oval Office, I'm not kind of surprised that it got involved.
Yeah.
I have to say that.
But I don't understand. I mean,
What?
so they rigged the Cabo Verde game. They rigged, of course, that first Brazil game. They rigged the Norway game. They rigged the Senegal game.
This is all allegedly.
So now they're rigging the Belgium-U.S. game as well? I mean, what am I supposed to think about
Romaine's
this?
views are not necessarily our views. I'm just.
I mean, am I supposed to be, enjoying this right now?
I don't know.
Romaine, I'm
I
going to
know.
miss you tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, it's FIFA's lawyer on the phone for you.
Okay.
All right, guys, that is a wrap. But yeah, let's take this offline.
Maybe they can rate this show.
We always win.
We always win.